Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how to convert your footage from these to these using only Blender. Well, it's super easy, so let's just get started with it. So, now let's talk about motion tracking in Blender, okay? So I am in File, New VFX tab, okay? I'm gonna click Open. I will open up the footage. This is the footage. Now you will be thinking that it is not right, like the rotation is wrong, but Blender can track this kind of footage. If you import vertical footage, it is not going to work. I tried it a lot, but it's not working. So I always recommend, if you have a vertical footage, try to rotate it until it become a landscape footage, okay? So right now we just need to do some rendering settings. First of all, the output, as you can see here, let me just expand this one. This is 30 frames per second. First match these, okay? Then the resolution. Now the resolution is matching, so let it. Now under render, under color management, the view transform set to AGX, change it to standard. As you can see, it regain the colors that was recorded in, okay? So you don't need to worry about anything else right now. You can click prefetch to load the footage. You can also click sits in frame. As you can see, first it was like that, 250, but if you click sits in frame, it's going to set the ending frame for you, okay? As you can see now, it's like very lagging, okay? How to fix it? Click prefetch. It is going to load the footage into the RAM. After that, the footage will load smoothly, okay? If you look at this, as you can see now, it's playing very smoothly, and this is what we want. Now we got this marker, but for now we just need to change those settings. Now right here we have presets. If you have a blurry footage, choose this one. This is the default one. If there is a fast motion, choose this one. But right now there is pattern size and search size. These two value determine the tracker size. If you make them bigger, the tracker size will be bigger, and the tracker will look for a huge area for tracking. For example, I'm just giving you an example, okay? I make it very big, okay? I'm gonna click add here. As you can see, it is like that. Now it is tracking, it is looking for this point in this area, okay? But for example, if I come to the default value again, if I click add, as you can see, it's very small. Now it's looking just for this area. So if you have a 4K footage, you need to increase this number, because 4K have a bunch of pixels, and the tracker will be very small. So in order to make the tracker bigger, you need to increase these values, okay? I hope you understand me. Now there is location model, motion model. So we got different model. For the perspective is something that records the rotation of the body. Like for example, if the camera is orbiting around an object, you need to set it on perspective. Affine is used to track the shape. For example, if you are tracking someone's face, face. So you want to add asset into his face like wounds and blood, etc. So you need to set it affine for object tracking. The face tracking, So affine track the shape of the surface. Now the other one, location, rotation, and scale, it is tracking those three properties of a tracker. For example, here I add a tracker. When the camera is zooming out, the tracker also scaling down with it. And if the camera is rotating, the tracker also rotating with it. And if the camera is moving around, the location also change for the trackers. So right now I'm gonna set it for a location, because there is no huge motion. If there is no motion like a huge one, there's no zooming in, zooming out, no rotation, then you can just set this to location and it is going to work for you. Now for the match, here is the option keyframe. It is based on the keyframe that you're going to put here in solve, keyframe A and keyframe B. And the other option is previous frame. The tracker will see the location of the tracker based on the previous frame. For example, the tracker on the second frame, for example, on the second frame, we look for the location of of the tracker on the first frame, you know. So I'm going to click normalize. Normalize, what it does, when the lighting change, for example, there is no huge motion, but lights change. For example, exposure change, exposure, you know, exposure of camera. So when it changes, the tracker lost. But when you turn on normalize, when the light change, the tracker never go off, you know. It always stay on the place you want. So I hope you understand me. The track tab here, here is the option for tracking. So now you can manually add them like that, but I'm going to click detect features. It will automatically add trackers. If you expand this, you can increase the threshold value like that. I think that is fine. Now it's time to track forward. Okay, so I think it's fine. Now the motion is tracked, and I think we got an overall idea of how it looks like. Now you need the next step is solve. Okay, so in solve we got different option. If you shot your footage on tripod, turn on tripod. Okay, if you don't do this, uh, you have to set the keyframe A and keyframe B. Now for the keyframe A and B, you have to select two frames that have the most perspective change. For example, in the beginning it's not changing so much, but from frame number 40 to frame number 250, as you can see, there is a huge perspective change. Okay, something like this. So we need to select those two keyframe. For the keyframe A, I'm going to select 40, and for keyframe B, I'm going to select 180. So if you just play it, as you can see, there is a huge motion in between. So the camera understand the motion of the model after that. Okay, you can also let the computer compute the keyframe A and keyframe B by selecting this. After selecting this, the computer will decide which frame to select, but right now I have already selected, so I'm just gonna leave it on manual. Okay, so here you can see focal length, optical center, and radial distortion. They are the camera property. If you know the camera property, you can put them inside the track, camera, and as you can see, sensor width and the lens. But if you don't know them, that what was the focal length of the camera while recording, then you can turn those on. The computer will calculate the focal length, the optical center, and radial distortion for you. Okay, so now it's time to click solve camera motion. Let's click it. Let's wait for this. So now we got an error of 0.61, which is fine, but we got a yellow error, which is not good. So how to fix it? Well, in Blender, you can manually delete the bad trackers, but if you look at the cleanup, here is the cleanup tab, you can remove the bad trackers. So if I click filter tracks, it's going to select 4 problematic trackers. If you expand this, here is the tracks threshold. If I decrease it, it's going to select the tracker with this amount of error, you know. It is selected for, so I'm going to delete them. How to see the error of the tracker, like if you want to do it manual. So if we come to clip display, I'm going to turn on menu info. I'm going to select all of them, not all of them, just one for you. And as you can see, its name and the average error 0.84. Now select them one by one. As you can see, they have a huge error of 1.13 pixel, so I'm going to delete it like that. You can also do it with filter track by selecting it. If you decrease it, as you can see, it's selected add tracker with the error of 0.86. If you move on, it's selected 2 with the error of 1. Move on with that. If it's not fixing the problem, you just go do the same filter tracking again and again and again until you get a perfect solve error. Anything that is lower than 1 for the pixel error, for the solve error, is perfect, you know. So you can also go for a clean track if you want. As you can see, it is also the same thing, but I think it works a little different. So now we have deleted so many trackers. If we click solve camera motion, we got an error of 0.13, and as you can see it is blue. When it's blue, then it's 1000% fine, you know. So how to set up the 3D scene? Now we got a perfect error. If you scroll down, we get different option: geometry, 3D trackers, to mesh. But I think I'm not gonna go for it because it is a little different, and I think if you understand the basic of it, you will explore it in the future. So first of all, before using those options, we can click set tracking scene. As you can see, it brought the footage in the background and it brought the motion, but the orientation is wrong. How to fix it? Well, we need to do it with the orientation, you know, here. So first of all, we're gonna set the floor. For setting the floor, you need to select three trackers. Okay, just three trackers and click floor. As you can see, it is now aligned, but it's not perfectly facing the right direction. How to fix it? Now for the axis, you need to select one tracker, set x-axis, and as you can see, it's perfectly doing its job. Okay. Now you can set the y-axis by selecting other tracker. For example, if I select that one, set axis, and then it's going to change it. But right now I think it was fine. Okay, the scale is very small, but it's not needed to be that small. So I'm going to select two trackers, you know, two trackers, set scale. It's very big right now. I'm going to increase the set scale. Set scale, I think it's big. I'm going to increase it. As you can see, I think it's now totally fine. Okay, I think the tracking is done. Now it's time to move up into general layout. Go to camera view, select the camera, under camera setting, under background image, increase the opacity level. If you play it, as you can see, it is successfully sticking into the ground, and this is what we wanted. Yeah, that is 100% fine. So another extra tip that I want to give to you is, if you come to the viewport overlays here, if you click motion tracking, increase the scale. As you can see, the trackers in 3D scene. Here we go. Now you can set things according to that. For example, I want to have object here. Here we go. So how to bring an object into there? Select the tracker, hit Shift S, click cursor to select it. It will snap the cursor to the selected object. Select the object and then Shift S again, selection to cursor. As you can see, it snapped the cube into the building. If you just slightly move it forward, now it is going to stick into the building. You can scale it up. Let me stop it. For example, I scale this up. And yeah, it is now sticking into the building. Okay, there is a lot to learn about motion tracking in Blender, but I was just to show you the basic of them. Now you will explore the world of motion tracking and you will slowly understand how motion tracking work. So as you can see, now our scene is done, you know. But in this video, I'm gonna show you how to create a digital extension, you may call it, that is used in VFX, which is really powerful for the scene like that. Like for example, if you want to add an emission object or emissive object in the scene, you want to affect the environment with this emissive object, but you can't, simply because this is just a footage and you are in a 3D scene which doesn't have that footage inside. So how to interact your 3D object with the footage? So here is the trick. Well, first of all, you need to create the geometry. So for the geometry, you can simply go to motion tracking, or you can also create a mesh here, but you will not be able to find an exact position for it. But right now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create that mesh here. So I'm going to go to select, box select, and I'm going to select all of them that are making the wall. After selecting them, I'm going to go to track, solve, and I'm going to go scroll down under geometry. There is a thing called 3D markers to mesh. Well, this is really cool, you know. When you click it, it converts those selected points or trackers into a mesh in 3D scene. Then you can fill between the space between them, and you will be able to create the mesh. So right now I think I selected those two also, so I'm gonna reselect them, box select, and I'm going to select, select, box select. I'm going to select this one. Here we go. Now if you click 3D markers to mesh, as you can see they appear in the 3D scene. If I go to layout, as you can see we got a mesh which is called tracks, you know. So now it's time to fill the gaps between them. So you need to go into edit mode. After going into edit mode, you can select multiple of them like this four and hit F to fill the space between them. Then this four and click F, fill in between. Then this one also, hit F and fill the space between it. I'm going to select this one and hit F, and I'm going to select those one also and hit F, you know, something like that. And just follow the rule. You can also create your own mesh with just a cube. I was just showing you how to do it, you know. So I think the shape of this is not really good, you know. So I was just showing you that you can create it with this kind of method, but I'm not going to use it in this video. I'm going to delete it like that. And first of all, I'm going to fix the scene. Here we go. You have two collection. One is foreground, one is background. And if you look at compositing, you got so many nodes which can make the scene a little complex. I don't want to be very complex. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select these two objects and hit M. I'm gonna move them into foreground collection, and I'm gonna delete the background. And we also got a foreground and a background layer here. So I'm gonna delete the background, so we just left with foreground layer. So right now, if you go to compositing, we got many nodes, but we will fix it later on. Under layout, we're going to create a cube, you know. I think I'm gonna create a plan, or I will use the existing one, but I'm gonna create a new one. So add mesh plan, and I'm going to select and scale it up like that. I'm going to move it towards that direction. I'm going to scale it on y-axis like that, and then x-axis. I'm gonna move it towards x-axis like that. Try to look for the camera that it fits inside the scene. So I'm gonna select the camera. Under camera setting, we got ending clipping. If you increase it, as you can see, it is the limit that is it will capture the area that is shown here. For example, here it's the distance of 895 meter, and it will just render this scene. So if you increase it, it's going to render more of your scene. So I'm just gonna be very simple with that. So I'm gonna move it towards that direction like that. And in edit mode, I'm going to select this edge. Okay. Well, you can create the same sort of shape in 3D as here in the building, but right now I'm not going to go to a complex modeling steps. I'm just going to be very simple with you people. So I'm going to hit E and then Z. I'm going to extrude it up like that. Maybe I will select the face, and I'm going to hit E on the Z axis like that. If you go to camera view, as you can see, I'm gonna delete this face. So right now I'm gonna move it towards the axis like that. Okay, so now how to project it into the scene, like how to project the video into this cube. So in edit mode, select everything and now subdivide everything. First of all, something like this. Now go to object mode. Under material, I'm gonna click new. I'm gonna add an image texture. I'm gonna hit open, and I'm going to open up the video, something like this. In edit mode, I'm gonna hit U, project from view, and if we go to object, as you can see, it's already fitting, but we want it to be, so first of all, I'm going to make the frames 250 and click auto refresh and cyclic. And under modifier, I'm going to add a modifier which is called the UV project. Now select the UVs of this object and then the object as the camera. So right now, under material, I'm gonna increase the roughness, and also I'm gonna decrease the specular for now, something like this. And in texture setting, it's repeat. I'm gonna set it to clip. So as you can see, it is stretching. So under modifier, I'm going to play around with the Y scale, so it is fitting the camera, something like this. Right now it is fitting it, and this is what we wanted. So now you can add any sort of object into it, and it is going to interact with the environment. I'm going to save the file, and if I go to render, I'm going to make it a cycle render. I'm going to change it to GPU compute. I'm going to click denoise, so we have denoising in the viewport. Under the world setting, I'm gonna make this as an environment, and I'm gonna import an environment that is fitting the scene, which is going to be an overcast environment for now, this one. So right now, uh, as you can see, there is a problem that we're facing right now. So a little tip about making this sort of environment, that you need to delete the parts that is not visible in the camera. For example, that side. So I'm going to go to y-axis. I'm going to select it, hit X, and delete those faces. Oh, I think I deleted the wrong one. I'm going for y-axis. Select X, enter, and delete. In object mode, as you can see, I don't need the top one, so I'm gonna go into the top axis, select it, hit X, and delete it. Now if we go to camera view, and if we go to render mode, object, as you can see, it is interacting with the environment. I'm gonna slightly move it up. So under object settings, I'm going to delete it because we don't really need it. Right now, this dot is casting shadows into the real environment. I'm gonna shadow the smooth. So now if I add an emission material into it, for example, as you can see, it is affecting the scene also. And this is what we wanted. And this is extremely powerful technique for VFX. If you want a realistic interaction with the environment. Now, this was just a show off on how you can do it, but you can get into advanced level. For example, if you want to interact this object down here, but as you can see, it's just a flat surface, and it's not going to look really good. But if you really wanted that the object must be filled in the environment, then you need to model the same thing in 3D scene. I've already made a tutorial on how to do it in 3D. I'll put the link in the description to the same tutorial that I did for making digital extension and adding 3D objects into the scene. And it was amazing, and I think you must try it because I packed so much into it. I created a detailed environment so the objects interact perfectly with the environment. So now some people ask for reflection as well. Reflections can be very complicated sometime, but in that scenario that we are right now is super easy. We got some windows here. So if we just go ahead and just render it out, it's not going to look really good. So for reflections, there is some other things that you can do, which is render layers that are used in compositing in Blender, but they get very complicated and you don't want to be so complicated that you don't understand. You can also do it inside of Adobe After Effects or Nuke or DaVinci Resolve maybe, because it's got a black magic fusion, I think, but it can get complicated. So how to do it in Blender? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it. First of all, I'm going to select this object. As you can see, it is interacting with the environment, and as you can see, it is very interesting. It is superb. But how to do it? How to do reflections? Well, first of all, I'm going to select this main object. I'm going to go to edit mode, and I'm going to go into wireframe. So you need to separate the reflections part, because if you do a perfect motion track, then you can separate any sort of part of the video. So right now we are in perfect motion track, so we can separate this window right now, because we have to, because if we don't, we're not going to make it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to select. I'm going to click circle select. I'm going to select all of those faces that are, it is not very precise, but you can make the same shape using a knife tool. Yeah, let's use knife tools, because they are powerful, you know. So I'm gonna hit K for knife tool. Just do it like that. So now I am just trying to separate the window from this other stuff. Hit enter. Now we can hit C for circle select, and we can select the part that we want to have reflections into. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to be doing these. Let me just select all of them. Hit C. Now it is not accurate, but you can get accurate than that. I was just showing you how to do it. I'm not gonna skip, because if you have watched the video till now, then you can see what I'm doing and you like it. That is why you are still here. I'm holding my phone in my one hand for voice, and I am working just on my mouse, so I can't move my other hand to the keyboard. That is why it is taking so much time. Okay, we got it. We got it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hit new material, click assign, and I'm going to assign the same material, but I'm going to click this duplicate sign object, and if I go to render, so now we got this other material. We can now decrease, now increase the specular level and decrease the roughness level. So now it's going to be an interesting part, because if you move this thing up, let me just show you. Where is it, brother? Okay. Okay, this one. Do you see it? Do you really see it? Yeah, you see it. I'm gonna scale it out so you can see it perfectly. Now I'm gonna remove this shitty material from it, because it doesn't even make sense. I'm gonna make it a red color. As you can see, it is affecting the material, the reflections. I mean, let's make the number 4. And as you can see, there is some little reflections if I move this object around. Cool, nice, nice, yeah, yeah. And the best thing about it, you can add gloss shader into it to even push it further. And yeah, I hope you understand me. So now you can add any sort of product into it. You can, the scene is in your control. And if you go to solid view, I'm gonna hit hide everything, and if you play it, it is gonna follow the motion, you know. Now for the Challenger model, uh, I used Sketchfab to download this model. It is very cool model. I will put the link to the other page and also the version that I'm using, because I made so many changes into the car. So that's why I'm going to share both of them with you people. And I just created, for example, I'm going to turn this off. This is the main car with the material already loaded with some red colored headlights, yellow color, sorry. And then I added an area light here to add this emission. Then I added a point lamp here, and then an area light here, and then a point lamp here. So it's just very simple, and it just looks really cool. I really like it. I'll also put the link to it so you don't miss it out. And yeah, the best part in this one, because we can now customize the scene, and we already did our compositing step here. So guys, that's it. Things across. Now we just left with the foreground. Now for the final settings for compositing. As you can see, we got so much stuff going on. I'm gonna delete all of them, leaving the alpha over node here. I'm gonna click add. I'm gonna add input. I'm gonna add a movie clip here. Now it is working different for Blender. You might be thinking, if I connect the image into the top socket, sorry, into the bottom socket, it will stay in the bottom. But it's not like that. It is the background for us. We need to connect it into the top socket. Now add input, scene, render layer, connect it to the bottom socket. Okay, so now for rendering, I always prefer to set the rendering to cycles, device to GPU, click denoise for the viewport. Now for the max sample, it is very high, you know, it will take so much time to render. I usually set this to 100, but for now, I'm gonna set it to 29, okay? I'm going to render the image to show you how does it looks like. Now the lighting is off, but I'm not gonna care about it. I'm just showing you how things looks like in 3D. Now compositing it. Okay, so one thing that I forgot, under rendering, if you go to film, you can check transparent, and now if we re-render this thing, it is going to be transparent. Okay, so it's rendering right now. I'm speaking very low because my cousin is sleeping on my side. Okay, so as you can see, it is there and everything is fine. Now you can just add an overlay, sorry, an overcast environment texture. I have one, so I'm going to add it inside this one. If I go to render mode, I think this is not a great one, but I think you understand it. Thanks you, brother, for sticking to the end of the video. So guys, thanks for watching. If you want to get more like that, you can hit the subscribe button down there. Share it with your friend if they want to know about motion tracking, because it was a masterpiece that I've ever done for motion tracking, because I went to a very little detail on how to create your digital extension using Blender. So guys, I hope you like the video. I'll see you in the next one.